Okay, let's talk about how I would grow my hair to mid-back length if I had to start over again. I've never had long hair before, but I've been able to grow my hair past mid-back length, and it was actually surprisingly easier than I thought it would be. So, because I don't want you to be left out in the dark thinking that your hair can't grow or anything like that, here's the first thing that I would do. Oh, but by the way, everything I'm going to share with you, I've put in a one-page download, and I'm going to tell you how you can get that at the end of the video. The first thing that I would do is I would start off by washing my hair on a regular schedule. And for me, that is every 2 weeks. I would first try to understand a bit more about my hair in terms of when does it need to be washed? Can it be washed weekly? Can it be washed every 2 weeks? Or can it even be stretched to monthly? I would work out what's the optimum time for me to be able to wash my hair. And I would pretty much stick to that routine for as long as I possibly can. I would begin to change my lifestyle so that my lifestyle actually fits my hair and my hair fits my lifestyle, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you are growing your hair, then this is probably a good place to start. It's first of all to work out how often you need to wash your hair. The second thing that I would do is I would ensure that I'm moisturizing my hair with either the LOC or the LCO method. That's using liquid or leave-in as your first L, as your L in the LCO or the LOC. I would then use an oil, then I would use a cream or butter or grease, something like that. So for me, I use a liquid, which is aloe vera juice. Sometimes I will use a leave-in conditioner, which is Shea Moisture, leave-in. I would also use Jamaican black castor oil. That's something that I have literally been using since I had my hair shaved. So I would definitely keep that in my routine. This is not about products. This is more so about the system of things and the routine of things and how I would do it if I were to start again. And then thirdly, in terms of my cream, I use shea butter. Sometimes I use a grease. So that's pretty much what I would do. I would make sure that I'm moisturizing my hair with the LOC or the LCO method. By the way, the LCO is literally just changing the C, like changing, what am I trying to say here? It would be using the cream before using the oil. So if it's shea butter, for example, then it will be using your leave-in, then using the shea butter, and then the oil. Hope that makes sense. Okay, and moving to the third one, I would wear my hair in twists, or if I had totally less time, then I would find like a much quicker protective style. But if I had enough time, I would wear my hair in twists, literally like at least 90% of the time. Also, in addition to that, or with that as well, I would wear my hair in a protective style where my ends are going to be tucked away, where my ends aren't always going to be out like you see them out now. I wouldn't wear my hair, wear my ends out most of the time. I would make sure that they're tucked in. So I would be wearing things like buns, just putting my hair in buns or maybe updos. And maybe if you can't wear your hair in twists, then probably again, things like updos or some big flat twists, things like that. That's the kind of thing that I would do if I had to start this journey all over again. I really hope I don't have to do that, by the way. Okay, the fourth thing that I would do is I would make sure that I'm re-moisturizing my hair around about every 3 or 4 days or so. What does that look like? It may look like doing the full LOC again, or it may just look like doing LO or LC. So that might be using a leave-in and then applying some oil, or it might look like applying some spraying some water or some aloe vera juice, whatever liquid it is that you use, and then maybe going in with some grease, something like that. It depends on whatever works for your hair. But again, if this was me doing this all from scratch again, I would probably just spray some, either the liquid aloe vera, aloe vera liquid, or the leave-in conditioner, and then I would go in with some Jamaican black castor oil. All right. In addition to that, something that I would make sure that I'm doing if I ever had to start this process again is I would spray my scalp a bit more often, and I would also apply some oil, like Ayurvedic oils. or a light oil mixture to my scalp probably every 2 or 3 days or so. That's something that I have been doing recently as part of a challenge that I'm on. And I do think it is helping. I haven't noticed any negative effects of doing it anyway. And I'm quite sure that because of the things, the type of ingredients that I've put into the oil, I do think that is probably helping to increase my growth rate. I definitely haven't noticed any negative effects of doing that anyway. I don't notice any more buildup on my scalp or anything like that. So I think in hindsight, that's probably something that I would do on a regular basis if I were to have, if I had to start this journey all over again. The fifth thing that I would add to this is I would scalp massage every single day if I possibly can. I know that scalp massaging really does help to stimulate our hair follicles and therefore it increases our growth rate. So I would do my best to be scalp massaging every single day. Obviously, that's not always as easy as it is to say, but it's definitely something that I would love to do again, if I had to start this whole journey all over again. Okay, and then the sixth one is that I would only trim as much as needed, but I would also trim as least often as I possibly needed. Does that make sense? So so I wouldn't over trim my hair, but I also wouldn't totally not trim my hair. And I would trim off what is necessary. So let me just say that again because I don't know if that was clear. I would trim off what is necessary, but I definitely wouldn't trim my hair more than is necessary. That can go for the amount that you're actually taking off, the amount of inches or centimeters, whatever it is. And it can also go for the length of time that you do that in. So typically, we're advised, professionals will advise us to trim our hair every 6 to 8 weeks. If I was starting again, I wouldn't do that personally. This is just my personal advice. I personally wouldn't do that, but I would trim what needs to go. And if that looks like trimming every 4 months or every 5 months, then that's what I would do. Okay, so before we get to the next two tips, don't forget that I've written down some of these tips for you, and you're able to get this by hitting the link in the description box of this video, and it's perfectly free to download that. Right, the seventh thing that I would do if I was having to start this journey all over again in order to get to mid back length, I would literally repeat this whole process every wash day or every 2 weeks, every week, whatever it is, until I get to that desired length, which would be mid back length. I would literally just put it on repeat, like rinse and repeat, literally rinse and repeat. That's what I would do. And then also, the last point is that I would not get distracted. I know it sounds like really obvious, but honestly, I would not get distracted. I wouldn't get distracted by watching every single person's routine and trying to take everything from everyone's routine. I would, literally just go with what works for me, and I would keep doing it over and over again. That may be months, that may be years, depending on where you're starting from. For me, it has been years because I started from shaved. I would literally just keep doing it for years on end until I get to mid back length. It honestly doesn't have to be complicated, but I did mention a bit of a controversial thing in terms of trimming. I don't know how you feel about that. Obviously, I shared that I don't necessarily trim my hair every 6 to 8 weeks. I want to talk to you about somebody who doesn't necessarily trim their hair, but they still have really, really long hair. So the video that's on the screen now, go ahead and watch that next, because you're going to learn a lot about trimming schedules and what it can look like for you.